Hi, this is JJ at CCBC. In this video we're going to explore the menu bar in Flash. So the major topics we'll cover are the actual menu bars and the options that they support. This video was recorded using Adobe Flash Creative Suite version 6. So let's get into it. Here I have Flash already open. Before I go through all of the menu bars, just understand for a 5-minute video I don't have enough time to cover every single option in every single menu. So we're going to kind of skim through most of these. I'm going to show you what you're going to be using 90% of the time. Feel free to explore some of the other features, but this is the major stuff you're going to use a lot. So in the first menu, your Flash menu, some customizing preference options here. The quit option is probably what you're going to be using the most. You're not going to do too much customizing being new to Flash, but if you get advanced and want to do some changes, here's where you can do that. Your file menu is a pretty standard file menu. You can create new files, open existing files, close existing files, save your existing files, etc. One feature you might like is the import. We'll be using that later, and that allows you to import images, sounds to your library, to the stage to be used in your project. So that's how you get external files into Flash, is using this import feature. Another setting you'd like is the publish settings. I'm not going to cover them here. I'll have a whole video on how to publish your Flash files, so we'll cover that later. The edit menu, this again is another pretty standard menu. You have undo, redo, cut, copy, paste. That's all you really need to know for this menu. The View menu has a couple interesting options in Flash. So first of all, you can zoom in and zoom out. So I can zoom in on my project, get a better view of what I'm working with. I can change the magnification and set fixed magnifications, 25, 50, 100%, 800%. But one thing I'd like to point out is any options you see in these menus as we go through this video are also available somewhere else in the Flash interface. So these magnification options are also available right over here on the stage panel. So if I click this menu, you'll notice I have exactly the same options, 25%, 50%, 100%. I can control the magnification from here. I'll go back to 100%. Or I can go into the View menu and control the magnification from here. So you'll find that's true of pretty much anything you find in these menus. It's available somewhere else in the Flash interface. And it's one of the things that makes Flash really easy to work with. So a few more features in the View menu. Rulers are nice. Some people like to turn on the rulers. This is a screen-based program, so it's measured in pixels. So these rulers are measuring out pixels. My stage is 550 wide. You can see the ruler, 0 to 550. Exact same width as the stage. 400 tall, so from 0 to 400, there's the height of my stage. Right? So if you like rulers, you can turn those on and off in the View menu. Another feature is the grid. You can show the grid, which is really nice if you're really OCD like I am and everything has to be in exactly the right position. The grid is really useful. You can also go in and customize the grid, so you can edit it. You can change the color of your grid. You can change the size. By default it's 10 pixels by 10 pixels. If you want 20 or 50 pixels, whatever you'd like to set up. If you don't like the grid, you can turn it off. Another feature is snapping. Snapping's really nice because it helps you position things objects relative to other objects. So for example, snap align. What that does is if I take this green square and I move it close to the red circle, you notice it's going to align on the right side there of the red circle. If I go vertically, it'll align to the bottom of that red circle. So this is that snapping feature. It snaps into position so you don't have to eyeball it. Now that's pretty nice, but sometimes it's inconvenient. Sometimes your objects are snapping into a position that you don't want them to be into, and it's kind of interfering with your ability to position things. So you can go in here and turn off snapping. So you'll notice I'm no longer snapping vertically or horizontally to that red circle with my green square. Right? I'm going to turn it back on because I actually like snapping. The next menu, insert, we're really not going to use this. We're going to hand insert a lot of these things. There's a menu for doing that, but we're going to do most of that by hand using the other tools inside of Flash. So I'm not going to explore this menu much. The next menu, the modify menu, this allows you to modify properties of existing objects. So for example, the document, which is our entire movie, here's the document settings. Now you should notice the dimensions 550 by 400 are also the same dimensions over here, 550 by 400. So again, here's your document properties in the property inspector and the document settings from your modify menu. It's the same thing, just accessible in 2 locations. Same background color of white, same frames per second, 24 frames per second, 24 frames per second, both available just in different places in the interface. The text menu, I'll do a whole video on text in Flash, so I'm not going to get into this, but it allows you to customize your text properties. The commands menu, this is a very advanced menu. We're really not going to do anything with this. We're not going to work with XML or convert to Flex or any of that stuff, so we're going to skip this menu. The control menu allows you to play your movies and test your movies. So I actually set up another file here. This is a simple animation I made. I can use the control movie to actually test my movie. So I can play it within Flash. If I hit play, you notice it's actually playing it in the Flash interface. I can see the playhead and the timeline as it goes through. Or I can go up here and test it as a movie, and it'll actually publish the movie. So if I say test, you notice it's exported it as a SWF file, and now I can see the actual movie, and it loops. This is exactly what my audience would see when I'm done creating my animations. And if I did my project as multiple scenes, I could test one scene. So if I had a project with 20 scenes in it, by the time I get to scene 20, I don't want to watch the first 19 scenes just to see how scene 20 looks. I could just play whatever the current scene is, scene 19 or 20, and not have to watch the entire movie to get to that point. So that's actually pretty convenient. The debug menu is really for coding. We're not going to do any coding in this course, so we'll skip this menu. The Windows menu, these are all the panels in the Flash interface. So you see the timeline is open because it's available on the screen, the toolbar, the property inspector. They all have checks because they're currently open. These are all other panels that are not visible. They're kind of hidden right now. So if I click color, you'll notice the color panel opens up over here. If I click the timeline, you'll notice it'll actually hide the timeline, so that panel's completely gone. There's not even a tab down here to access it. So if you come in and some of your panels are missing, here's a good way to open them back up and make them available. The last menu is the help menu. Hopefully these videos I've created are pretty helpful to you. If not, feel free to use the search feature here or explore some of the other Flash help options available here in the help menu. So that's it for the menu bar. Hopefully you learned something in this video. See you in the next one.